When I'm talking about what the narcissist does, it's all highly curated and it is all designed for them to reach their goal and ambition, which is to get their hooks into you and to suck you dry. How to fall in love with a narcissist.
Today, we're going to talk about narcissists, and it's a word that is bandied around a lot. So a proper narcissist is actually a personality disorder, and that's an actual mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. Now, we all know people who have a high sense of their own importance. So when it comes to dating, should we be scared of somebody who we potentially think is a narcissist? Or, narcissists need love. So help, Gillian, help.
This approach, narcissists need love and therefore we should just love the narcissist. No. The moment you think that you might be entering into a relationship with a narcissist, which there are signs, at the moment you discover that you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you get out. You cannot heal a narcissist. You cannot fix a narcissist. They cannot change. A narcissist, that's part of what we call, or what is known as, the dark triad, which is a psychological theory of personality. And this was something put forward by Delroy Polhouse and Kevin Williams. This is in early 2000s, which is three highly offensive personality types. They're considered to they're not considered to be pathological, so they're considered to be non-pathological, which is Machiavellianism, is psychopathy, and narcissism. You cannot heal it, or you cannot, as an outside person who's in a relationship with them, heal it. And I know, as you were mentioning earlier, this is kind of bandied around a lot, the term, oh, they're a narcissist, she's a narcissist, he's a narcissist. And it can be men and women. It's important to know. And although the term is used a lot to sometimes be intertwined with someone who thinks they're particularly attractive or thinks that they are more important than other people, it can be something that people lean towards a little bit more, or they can just be a through and through narcissist, and you cannot fix them, heal them, sort them. You must get out. And as I said, there's quite a few ways that you can tell whether or not that person is a narcissist, but it sneaks up on you.
So give us the major red flag signs.
Okay. The red flags start early. And this is what we call the love bombing stage. So at the very beginning, the narcissist is going to tell you that you are incredible. You are fabulous. Never met anyone like you. They're going to compare you to your friends that perhaps they've also met who just are nothing like you, are nowhere near your level of beauty, intelligence, of being incredible. When I'm talking about what the narcissist does, it's all highly curated and it is all designed for them to reach their goal and ambition, which is to get their hooks into you and to suck you dry. Every single narcissist out there, except perhaps a narcissist that has recognized there's an issue and has sought help, which is very rare, every single narcissist out there needs to get their supply. They're basically a totally insecure person. They do not believe they're wonderful. They do not believe they're incredible. They do not think they're attractive. But what they project to the world is the opposite. So they're out there projecting this image of I am fabulous, I am incredible, except for, well, the vulnerable narcissist does that a little bit too, but we can talk about vulnerable narcissism later. But they start off by projecting this image. So in order, you said, what is it that they do and can you tell what are the red flags? At the beginning, they want to win you over. They want you to think that they admire you, that they think that you are special. And men and women can be narcissists. So when quite a lot of the reporting is done about male narcissists, but it can equally be women. They will make you feel wanted, desired, loved. And they have to do that so that when they start their attack on you, which is designed to bring you down, you will forgive them because you're hanging on to the person you met at the beginning. And what they will do, they will build you up and they will rip away the rug. And then they'll give you a little bit more praise and they will rip away the rug. And by seeing the effect that it has on you, by seeing you being confused, by seeing you being upset, that is something that feeds them, that feeds the narcissistic personality type. And they want to hurt, they want to maim, they want to control, and it has to be their narrative. And that is what they do when they get their claws into you.
Wow. Right. Number one, you've now completely depressed me because to be told that I'm beautiful and wonderful and lovely and nobody's ever felt like, made them feel like that before. So what are we talking about? Just being a little bit wary. If somebody is coming on very strong, very quickly, you kind of get a feeling so it's about not getting too carried away. Yes, we all want to be complimented. We want to hear lovely things. But actually, if you're being told all these kind of rather amazing things, that's kind of, well, okay, well, yeah, that's nice. Just to be a little bit wary. So how should you play it then? If you're attracted to somebody and it's a first date and they're really blowing smoke up your bottom, how should you play it?
Well, as you said, you do know, or you should be aware that some of the time when you first meet someone, is this genuine, or is there something about it that you're not quite certain of? The love bombing is called love bombing because it is very much a kind of a tsunami wave of compliments, care, attention. It's all very sudden. It's a little bit out of kilter, perhaps, with how long you've known them for or how much time you've spent with them. This is not to say, and I don't want the people out there to be frightened or worried or fearful. The whole thing about our message is always get out there, date, find the love you want, find the love you deserve. And that is my mission. And that's my company's mission, to do that. But you have to be aware that some of these people are out there, some of these people exist. And so it's not to say that if someone pays you a compliment on the first date or says how attractive you are or how engaged they are with you, that is not to say that it is disingenuous or they have an ulterior motive or that they're love bombing as a narcissist does. It's worth pointing out at this point that narcissists don't feel that. They don't feel the things that they're saying to you. So they watch you very carefully and they mirror and reflect what it is that they think you need to hear. They are masters of manipulation. And so if you give too much information, if you give away too much early on, a narcissist will take that information and reflect it back to you. They will also later on use that information to punish you. And anyone that is dating at the very early stages, again, it's another reason that we say don't drink too much in a date, don't have too long a date. You've got to keep something back, not just because you're fearful there'll be a narcissist, but also if you keep something back, there's always something more to share. There's always something more to discover. And there's nothing more exciting than when you're dating and you can't wait to learn more about someone, but you know there's little bits of excitement still waiting to be discovered. So don't be frightened. Don't be too worried about this happening. Just be aware. And the negging, that's one of the words that we would use. It's used in the pickup artist community. That's, I think, originally where the word came from, which is saying something that basically puts you down. That can start quite quickly. And so it can stem from jealousy. It can stem from control. It can also stem from the narcissist starting to leak out who they truly are and where you will end up. Because what happens is the narcissist erodes your self-esteem over time. So over time, you get worn down into the point that you actually believe them. You actually believe you're unlovable. You actually believe that you don't deserve friends or family and you should be isolated from them. There's always warning signs going along. But the problem is when it becomes really clear, sometimes it's too late because you're too deep into the relationship and you just don't know how to get out.
And their ultimate goal is to be a completely controlling person in your relationship. So they want a relationship with you, but they want it to be entirely one-sided, and they're going to get their kicks from controlling you. I mean, what's their ultimate aim?
Well, they don't. This is the cruel part. They don't actually want a relationship with you. They need a relationship with a person who can give them what they need, which is a supply. Now, if you are if they are a vulnerable narcissist, then that supply would be they're constantly telling you about all the terrible things happening in their life, and you're continually giving them sympathy. Whether it's I fell down and hurt myself again, or my boss is very cruel to me again, or this friend is saying these horrendous, mean things about me. 99.9% of what they're telling you is a lie. They just make stuff up. And you are continually supplying their need for sympathy. The other mainstream narcissists, what they're doing is they are eroding you to boost them. So it's a sense of, if I bring her or him down a notch, I can take that confidence. I can take that success. And quite often, narcissists, I'll tell you who they attach themselves to. It's very interesting. Narcissists don't attach themselves to weak people. Narcissists attach themselves to people that they see are successful, are capable, are perhaps someone they even envy in terms of who they are. At the beginning, the narcissist may even think that they can use you for your contacts, or they can use you to get them into a better position in society. So the narcissist has a number of aims, but the moment that you're no longer useful or beneficial, the moment if they think that they're going to get a promotion because of you, but you move company, or they think that they're going to make money from you, but they discover you've got no intention of giving them cash. The moment you're no longer useful, you are dropped. But the interesting thing is, you're not dropped as in they won't take your phone calls anymore. That's a little bit more unusual. You're dropped in that they will start to damage and harm you, or at least attempt to damage and harm you. So you're dropped in terms of the friendship facade. You're dropped in terms of the relationship facade. What happens is they start to pursue you. They will go behind your back and tell all of your friends lies about you. They will go to your family and tell lies about you. And the narcissist, in the process of knowing them, of being in a relationship with them, of dating them, of when you're married to them, they will work, as I said, to erode your confidence, but they're also working to isolate you. And so their aim is to get you away from your family. Sometimes they will make you move country with them so that you're further away, even if though you've got a great relationship with your any parents or siblings that are still with us. They will isolate you by moving you away. If you say you love your job, they'll be isolating by getting you removed from that. They will make sure that they have total control of you and your actions, to the point that sometimes your family, who just sees this chaos and mess and is told things, because of course the narcissist will continually be in your ear, whispering things. They did this, they said this, you weren't there, you didn't hear it, you weren't there, you didn't see it. And so they try to get the narcissist turned against their family, so that at the point that you realize, hold on, I'm in a relationship with a narcissist, it can be too late. Because if you've left the job you've loved, you've left the country you love, you're no longer on speaking terms with your family, what are you going to do? And there's been a lot in the press about certain people who may or may not have narcissistic traits on a global scale. And you can see in some relationships from the outside that this is happening. So you are right when you say, what are the red flags? What can we look for? Love bombing is a really key one, but also listen to the first time They criticize you or bring you down, because that can also happen very quickly. And usually narcissists pick empaths. Very often that they'll pick an empath, because an empath tries to understand their partner. They try to understand why they've got that perspective.
And means somebody with empathy. What's an empath?
So an empath is someone who really does care very deeply about other people. So empaths have the capability to put themselves in the other person's shoes. So empaths not only understand what someone's saying, but they're able to really experience the emotional or mental state. So when you are with someone who is a real empath, they can feel the emotions that you're feeling, and they can understand what you're going through. Narcissists do not have that trait. They have zero empathy. They have zero understanding. They can learn what it means when someone's sad or hurt or upset, but they don't have any sympathy for the way that someone else feels. They just are energized by the way that they are hurting someone else. They get a buzz. They get a sense of being alive that they do not get. They don't get a dopamine hit with feeling someone else's pain when they lose a pet, or when something goes terribly wrong at work, or they simply cannot comprehend it.
So can we talk a little bit about jealousy? Because in a funny way, I was talking with a friend very recently who'd just come out of a relationship, an on-off relationship, where his partner had been very, very, very jealous, and he was always being, attacked for reasons out of his control, and in a way, that's not necessarily a narcissist, but in a similar fashion, she lacked a lot of confidence and self-esteem. You'd look at this woman and think, wow, you've got everything. And actually, she really, what she wanted above all was a loving, steady relationship. But she was just so consumed by jealousy of every kind of move that her partner did. And he was, he's a very sociable, flirtatious, attractive man, which is why she was drawn to him in the first place. But it's in a funny way, jealousy, having somebody who is extremely jealous is it eats away at a relationship, as in a similar way, realizing that you're with somebody who's a narcissist.
So in terms of the jealousy, this was jealousy of achievements, jealousy.
No, jealousy that the partner was going to go, that he was going to leave her for somebody else. So, she would trawl his social media accounts and, why has this woman contacting you or saying congratulations for, his daughter winning a medal, or something he posted on social media. It was just, he just said he felt completely, just not sure where he stood, because they could be having a perfectly nice time and she'd suddenly say, oh, you've just looked at that woman across the restaurant, or, why are you looking at your phone? Or, just completely irrational jealousy.
I understand. And, you gave a really brilliant example right there. You said he posted something about his daughter where she'd won an award, and someone had, presumably liked it, just hit the like button, which we hit the like button. If you're on social media, we hit the like button 50 times a day. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. And what she did was she pointed it out. Now, this is a classic trait of a narcissist. I'm not defining this woman as a narcissist. I've never met her. I don't have nothing to read. I'm not a psychologist to do that. But I'll tell you why that is a classic narcissistic trait. Narcissists do not want you to feel a sense of achievement, pride. What they want to do is they want to pull you down. Now, this was interesting because his daughter was in the spotlight. She's achieved. He's feeling pride that his daughter's in the spotlight and achieved. And instead, she has seen this as the spotlight being taken away from her. And narcissists will feel that jealousy for a child. Okay. And so the spotlight was taken from her. The spotlight was put on the daughter. So what she's done is she's said, how dare you? What are you doing in a relationship with this woman that she's done that? So it's done a number of things. It's taken the spotlight away from the daughter, who didn't deserve to have the spotlight taken away. It's made him, instead of feeling a sense of pride when he thinks about the fact that he shared this news, it's made him feel guilty because as a result of him sharing the news, this thing's happened. It's put him on the back foot because he's now having to justify a relationship that he doesn't have with this other woman. And this means that instead of your partner saying, gosh, that's incredible, well done, what are we going to do for your daughter to celebrate her win? What do you think she'd like to do as a treat? And of course, I don't know the age of the daughter. So it could be, shall we take her out to dinner? It could be, shall we take her to the zoo for the day? Whatever the age appropriate thing to do with your partner's daughter, a supportive partner should be saying, let's celebrate that together. Well done. Should we call her up and congratulate her? So when you're hearing that someone is trying to take the spotlight away from a good thing, getting you to justify something that is not for you to justify, these are all little signs that what the person that you're dating is a narcissist. The narcissist is the person that will propose at someone else's wedding. This is the inability.
Yeah.
The inability to allow the spotlight to be on someone else. It had to be on them.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit there. A very sensitive subject, which is blended families. It's happening more and more when one partner has children and you get together with somebody else with children. And it's that very difficult because we all parent in different ways. And I think when you fall in love with somebody, there's an inclination to assume that they are parenting, that you are going to recognize and know how they are parenting. And sometimes it can be a bit of a surprise that they don't discipline as you would discipline, or they expect their children to be, I remember in one instance, a friend of mine, the first time she catered for his children coming round to her house, and they had other friends as well, and she had a children's table and an adults table, and he was completely aghast and said, no, we all sit together. We don't separate the children and the adults. And there are all these things where it can be an absolute minefield. So give us a little bit of help around, first of all, if you do have children, you may or may not have been married first or whatever, but you have your wonderful, lovely child or children. How do you start to blend that into a new relationship?
It is, as you say, if you meet someone and you develop a relationship and then you go on to have children with them, it's very, very different to an established, if you like, or two established families combining and blending. It is a very different scenario. It is so common, though, nowadays for that to be the case. We know with the divorce rate, 50% roughly, we know that this is going to be a likely scenario that people find themselves in. And it brings up all of this extra stuff because when you meet someone, you're dating, they've got children, you're getting to know that person. How do I feel about them? Depending on the ages of children, you may not even meet the children for 3 months, 6 months. You want to know that your relationship is pretty solid. Well, most people want to know the relationship is solid before you introduce children. I should also mention, if your children are very young, they don't know, they don't care. It's one of mummy or daddy's friends. They come around for dinner sometimes. They don't know that. That's fine. But if their children are slightly older, you don't want it to feel like you don't want it for them to feel like a revolving door of relationships, even though lots of children are fascinated by this stuff. And some kids are desperate for you to get another partner and be happy. You talked there about how do we blend it? How does it work? So you've already met the person and established there's someone you want to be in a relationship with. And that's when the negotiation starts. The most important thing is to understand that they have parented in this style for quite some period of time. There is going to be potentially a degree of conflict, but we always talk in relationships and dating about the importance of communication. We talk about the importance of communication for mental health and avoiding getting into any difficulties. So some of it is watch and learn and see, but it could be if you witness something or some behaviors in a partner that you think, gosh, if you see them smack their child, for instance, that you actually may think this is insurmountable. This is not a case of, the wrong table. This is a case of, gosh, I've seen something in this person that I simply can't live with. So let's try and stick, instead of going, for me, that's quite extreme, and that would be a definite goodbye, nice to have met you. But
you might see something very, very sweet and endearing.
That's the other thing. And I would actually say that most people are going to be in the camp that you've done, the camp that you've just mentioned. More than likely, what is going to happen is you're going to see such sweet behavior. You're going to think, gosh, I love that person even more. We know from the stats, as a matchmaker, as a dating professional, we know that, for instance, men who are carrying babies around, men who are pushing babies in prams, men with baby, a picture of them holding a baby in their dating profile, they do far better than men who are simply wandering around sans baby. They do incredibly well. So we know, or a puppy. Puppies also work well. But so we know that you're naturally going to be, for a lot of people, you're going to be more attracted to your partner when you see them with their children and you see them with theirs. And the interesting thing about the table dynamic is, all of us are trying to be the best parent we can be. But a lot of our parenting is done in a little bit of a silo. Most of our parenting is done in the home. Most of our parenting is not necessarily done outside. So it may be that in the example that you gave, that when, and I don't know the answer to this, when they discovered that it's definitely not a separate table scenario, they might think, oh, okay, well, actually, it was my ex that really thought that was a good idea, and I never thought to change it. Let's give it a go. So it's not necessarily about, no, I want the separate table, let's have a big argy-bargy about it. It could be that you think, actually, that's something quite nice and I'd like to adopt that. And most people are quite easygoing with this stuff. A lot of people, when we're talking about things that people maybe have done in the past, but it's not that important to them, there can be negotiation. I think the main thing is not necessarily whose table do people sit on. The main thing really is going to be about involvement in the children's lives. So the main thing is going to be, how do you, if I see your young child, smack you across the head because they're 5 years old and they're not regulated their emotions quite yet and can't communicate the way they will when they're 20. Do you want me to say, you don't hit daddy or you don't hit mummy? Or do you want me just to back off while you deal with it? These are the kind of conversations that you need to have. And also equally, if the child still has two surviving parents, you can say, well, how much involvement do you want me to have in how the children are disciplined or how much time we spend with them? Are you looking for a step parent for your children, or would you rather it was us in a relationship and the children are not really, I'm not getting too involved, and it's just a conversation. And if you've just come out of a relationship or you're not that long divorced or not that long widowed, you probably don't have the answers for all of this, and it becomes a conversation between the two of you. But that's life. That's what happens in life. You find yourself in different scenarios, in different situations, and you work together as a couple to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to deal with it. And that will strengthen both of you I think it's quite exciting. I actually think it's quite exciting to embark on that and to focus on the children and how you might care for them and support them.
I think also children never behave how you think they will have their own input anyway.
They'll absolutely have their own input. And, and with a 4-year-old myself, the number of times I've had to say, she's never actually done this before. And you feel embarrassed saying it because you feel like it's the kind of thing people say when their children do it all the time. But you're kind of like, she's never actually done this before. It's, the embarrassment that is sure to happen the first time when you make the introduction and a full-blown tantrum happens. You're going, not now, darling, not now.
Yeah. Absolutely. So touching on the children thing as well, can I ask about jealousy of, I don't know how appropriate it is, jealousy of somebody else's children? Is that appropriate?
Yeah. So talking about the jealousy of other people's children, especially linked to narcissism. Were you going to extend that question, or was it what were you saying?
It's interesting to me. Is it part of the of what we were talking about earlier?
Absolutely. Jealousy is a hallmark of everything that the narcissist does, and part of that is they feel the jealousy, but they twist it, and so. This is why when children are involved, we've got to be so alert to this stuff. Because if you meet someone and they're giving you the butterflies and you're feeling excited, they're making you feel valued, they're making you feel special, it is fabulous, that kind of heady, excited, early days feeling that a lot of us experience. And so when because the narcissist is highly manipulative and not necessarily bright, by the way, not necessarily super intelligent, definitely not necessarily brighter than average, although they will present themselves as being very bright and very capable in all possible areas, even though they're not. When it comes to children, we have to be on our guard. I mean, dating with children, always on your guard anyway. But when it comes to children, it is this awareness. What happens when your children succeed? And you've always got to think, what would a reasonable person do? So when my child has got comes home and says, I won this award for, person who concentrated best in class, whatever the award is, how does your partner react to that? Do they have what a normal person with a kid who, dirty face, wonky hair, clutching this bit of paper and with a big smile on their face, how would a normal, reasonable person react? They'd say, oh, well done. Or if they don't like to use that language, oh, brilliant. How does that make you feel? Because there's certain people that now say we shouldn't be saying well done. That's a whole other conversation. But however you positively frame what you're saying to the child, does it allow the child to carry on having joy? Does it recognize their excitement? Or do you do something or say something either to the adult or the child to bring it down? My goodness, they're giving awards for anything these days, aren't they? So a little comment designed to wound, designed to take away the happiness and the joy, to take the disappointment on the face, because again, they're fed by how you look, by how you're perceiving what they're saying. But master manipulators, a lot of this is not obvious. Friends and family often don't see it. So you have to be acutely aware. They do not want, if it's their children, they don't want their children to succeed, to have joy. They want to take their success, take their joy, make it their own. The kind of, classic dance mum type thing where they're going to achieve and push their child in a way that the child doesn't want or is not interested in, but it feeds something within them. Without a doubt, children are to be protected, taken care of, looked after, and equally protected from a narcissist.
So There are obviously lots of varying levels of narcissistic behavior. And, it's all about listening to your instincts. So if you're embarking on a relationship and you're hearing these things, in an ideal world, however you're feeling about that person, it's not, you want to get out. But if you're already in a relationship and it's there are sort of narcissistic tendencies, what are the ground rules? Do you learn to cope with it? Do you take a big breath? Do you walk away? I mean, presumably there's no point in kind of engaging. You've got to sort of learn to you've got to be strong, haven't you? It's all about your own inner strength. If you want to stay in that relationship, if you love that person, you've got to be really confident of your own personality, of your own friendship groups, of keeping it all together.
It all boils down to, how is this person making you feel?
Yeah.
And you talked about, if you're in love with the narcissist, how do you make it work? How do you keep... The moment you recognize that you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you've been Googling it, you've talked to friends, you've heard this podcast, you've looked into it, you've got to get out. They can't be cured, and they're going to spend the rest of their life trying to destroy you. You cannot win. They talk about stonewalling in this, of what you have to do. So while you are trying to build your self-esteem to leave by asking for help, getting help, finding out more about how to deal with a narcissist, you've got to stonewall with the narcissist. So when they say, I can't believe you're going out looking like that, get that, that makeup is, going to make you look like a trollop. Or they say, why is it you're going back out to the football again today? You know that I've said I've had a hard week. I've had a difficult week. I can't believe you're planning on going to see your friends after the week that I've had. Whatever the thing is that they're saying to you, you've got to go back with, okay then, yeah, that's right. I'm happy with this. You've got to just, you can't start to argue with a narcissist, because the language that they will use and the way in which they will speak to you is always designed to win, is always designed to bring you down. You can't say, okay, I'm going to take my makeup off. You can't say, okay, I'm not going to go to the football today. You've got to get help and you've got to get out. It doesn't mean, and when I said earlier, they'll drop you. They don't drop you as in never contact you again. They will carry on trying to wound and trying to harm. And the only way to deal with a narcissist that you're in a relationship with, that you're dating, that you're married to, is to cut them off. They have to be blocked on socials. They have to be blocked on, they have to not know where you live. They have to, if you've got mutual friends, you need to tell the mutual friend, either you cannot give them any information on me, what I'm doing, where I'm going and what I'm up to, or we can't be friends again. You have to protect yourself. They're never going to go back to that person at the beginning who held your hand and told you how beautiful you are. They are never going to go back to the beginning where they told you how strong and dashing and handsome and capable you are. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is that the moment they think you're going to leave, the moment they think that you are almost on your way out, the love bombing starts again. They're going to give you that they always give you enough that you stay, but they do not give you long term enough that you it's a mind game. It's a minefield. It can't be fixed. You've got to go. When you find yourself Googling, is this normal behavior? How do I deal with a partner jealous of my children? How do I deal with a partner who always criticizes my appearance? How do I deal with a partner that doesn't like me seeing my friends? Whenever you are Googling any of this stuff, other search engines are available. That is the time to know you've got to leave. They're not going to let go of you. They're going to contact your friends, contact your family. They're going to try and punish you. They're going to take you to court for some random reason. They're going to try to get 100% care of the children you've had together, even though they couldn't care less about the kids and don't turn up on their birthdays. They are going to try to hurt you until, and this is the only thing that stops them, they get the next victim, until they get the next person. And then the moment they get the next person, you're dust. And so your aim, once you get out of the relationship with the narcissist, and if you're married, get a lawyer. Lawyers communicate with lawyers every day of the week. There's no reason that you should have to have a conversation, and you can explain to your lawyer, we can't do mediation. This is who they are. This is what they've done. And if you're planning on getting a divorce from a narcissist, which I hope you are, write everything down. Keep it tracked. Write down when they say these things to you, the time, the date, log everything. And then you can hand that over to a lawyer, make sure you keep copies, and that will form part of your case against this person. But you have to shut them down. You have to cut them off. They're going to erode your self-esteem. They're going to erode your confidence. And you're going to become what they want you to become, which is a hollow husk of the person. And at the very end of it, once they've stripped you dry, they'll move on to the next person, and you're left for the next 10 years trying to deal with it.
So here's the question. When you are interviewing as a matchmaker, are there any questions that you are asking a potential candidate whereby you can get a hint of whether they are likely to be a narcissist?
It is hard at the beginning, but there are some questions that we ask and things that we discuss that you can also do when you're dating. One of the things that narcissists often do is heavily criticize the former partner. Listen very carefully.
Oh, interesting.
Listen very carefully to what they say about the last person that they dated. When they start to talk about the toxic traits of an ex, what they're actually doing is describing what they did to the previous partner.
Wow.
Most people, even if their partner left them for someone else, will have some positive things to say. They were a good mother. They were a good father. But the moment they start to talk, and all they're saying is how horrendous, how awful, how dreadful, the way they treated them, the way they were left feeling, that can be, not always, because again, every situation is unique, but that can be a really red flag. When we are arranging to meet with someone, if they insist it's at their venue, not ours, if they insist they couldn't possibly meet us as matchmakers at any other time than 7:30 on a Thursday, without any, they're not dropping the kid. They don't have a good reason. There's no justifiable reason why only that. The moment they try and control the way that we operate as a business, again, we've been around for 40 years. We know how to do this. We know what we're up to. We know what we're doing. The moment they try and control the narrative of how we operate, when they criticize heavily their exes, these are things that indicate to us this is someone who is not acting in a reasonable way. And it always comes back. Is their behavior within the realms of being reasonable? Is their behavior something that a normal person would regard as okay, reasonable, normal? These are the big red flags that we could be dealing with a narcissist. Narcissists can be, not always, but can be very high flying. They are often linked to being CEOs of companies, directors of companies. There's a lot of people.
Nations.
Yes, heads of nations, or potential heads of nations, former/potential. Classic narcissistic traits. Narcissists are made, not born. That is the belief. And here's another one. Narcissists usually had a pretty traumatic childhood. Narcissists are often the children of narcissists. They were often abused. in a variety of ways as children, and they become narcissists as a coping mechanism. So listen to the stories they also tell about their childhood. Some people have had terrible childhoods and have gone through whether it's therapy or worked on themselves. They've dealt with it. They've dealt with the fact that they had a bad childhood. They understand that they were abused because the abuser was a bad person. The children often think, well, I'm being abused because I'm a bad person. And that's the thing about shouting, screaming, smacking your kid. They don't think I'm being smacked or I'm being hit or I'm being shouted at because my parent or my caregiver is bad. Children think I'm being shouted at, slapped and hit because I'm bad. And all of this starts to form the nexus of what makes a narcissist. That's not to say that you shout at your kids and they're going to become a narcissist. You know, every parent, no matter how good you are, loses their temper from time to time. But an abused child, and I think we all, as reasonable people, know what that means to be abused, that is, they believe that that is how narcissists are formed. And you cannot help them. You cannot cure them. You need to leave them.
I just wanted to pick up on something you said about talking about exes. You know, it's very, it's a natural instinct when you first meet somebody to want to know about their prior dating and if they've had a marriage or if they've been in a long relationship and why it didn't work. But actually, it's a very relevant point to not just you're only hearing one side of a story. There are always two sides of a story. And actually, it's very, it's important to recognize that you are only hearing one side of the story. And actually, perhaps that the reason that there were lots of rows and it was awful or whatever is because the person that you are now talking to face is somebody who is very fiery or is or doesn't put up with behavior. You know, I just think is it better to know? You know, I'm always very inquisitive about how somebody has been with how their previous partner was, because I want to be, I think you naturally want to be a better partner. You want to do things differently. You think, oh, well, I wouldn't do that, so we're going to be fine because I'm going to.
You've got to be a little bit careful with this stuff, Carole, because if you enter into a relationship and you are spending all of your time thinking about the previous partner, you're not living in the moment with the current partner. All that has to be important to you this is all that matters. It didn't work with their last partner. I wasn't in the relationship. I don't know why. It didn't work because if it worked, they'd still be together. And now let's build a relationship, the two of us. So it doesn't, you can have two great people, but they just don't work together. You can have two great people, but one of them loves spontaneity and the other one can't stand it, has to plan. You can have one who likes to, let's grab a flight this afternoon, and the other one that gets significant stress from the idea that this person didn't discuss it last week. Neither of them are bad people. They're both just different. If the previous relationship worked, they would still be together. And that's the only information you need to know. You cannot spend your relationship thinking about the past. You can only build for the future. And it's not just that. By comparing yourself to their ex-partner, you're kind of putting yourself in a lower peg. You need the person that you're in the relationship with to be working hard for you. You need them to be working out what they need to do to be a good partner for you. And it is so lovely and so genuine and so sweet of you that you're talking about, I want to be better for them. I mean, this is just incredible. You're the perfect partner for someone that is your focus. You need them to be thinking the same thing as well. What can I do to make myself the best partner for Carole or for anyone else out there? So that is the key thing. And I think maybe we need to end on that. Find someone who makes you feel good. Find someone who makes you feel valued. Find someone who wants to be a better person for you. It's only 0.5 to 5% of adults globally that are narcissists, but it's because they can't maintain relationships for a long period of time that they end up in the marketplace. Chances are you're not going to end up with one of these people. But think about every single time you're with someone. Everyone gets bad days, but overall, how does this person make me feel? Do they care about me? Do they love me? Do they want the things that I want in life? There is, being single is actually brilliant. Being single is actually fun. Don't let yourself be in a relationship with someone like this just because you don't want to be alone. Better is out there. There's someone right now looking for you, a good person who will take care of you and look after you over a period of time, not just at the very beginning or when you threaten to leave.
Brilliant advice as always, Gillian. Thank you. My heart is refilled with joy.
I'm pleased to hear it. I was nervous that at the end of this episode, you might not say that. So I am thrilled. I want everyone listening to leave this with their heart filled with joy. Look at the warning signs, watch out for it, but don't let it stop you dating. Don't let it stop you finding the love that you deserve.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Talk soon.